All right, so a little bit of warm weather looks like it did its job. There might be a couple pieces of ice, you know, size of a piece of paper, just notebook paper, but we're gonna get the tarp up, and don't have a good way to show you what's going on up top while I'm trying to put a cover over the camper, so don't really have a high vantage point. So we'll just get it up, and then we'll show tying it down. We'll probably use some ratchet straps and blocks. Got some cinder blocks if I can find some that aren't frozen to the ground right now. So if we do, we'll figure it out. I was going to work on getting the back tied up first, kind of wrap it around the back so that it's got almost it's just folded over the back and is going to stay there. But a little bit of wind coming from this way, and it's already lifted up and pulled the tarp to the other side. So I got to get this side buttoned down a little bit so that it quits blowing away on me while I try to do the back. So most of my cinder blocks are stuck to the ground with ice and whatnot right now, but I've got some of these tires that I think I can kind of do a two birds, one stone, two grommets, one tire kind of thing. I've got a ratchet strap going to one grommet and then to the other, and I'm just going to bring them together in the middle and do this tire. So what's kind of nice about this is if it's a little bit of wind and it knocks against the camper, it's not going to do any kind of real damage. If anything, there might be a little bit of black that shows up on it in the spring, but other than that, it should be relatively unharmed. I changed my mind for half a second. I was going to see if maybe I could just do it with one strap, put the ratchet on the other grommet instead of in the middle of the tire, but I don't really want this tire sticking out like this. I just don't like it. So back to plan A. I think it's going to work out all right. It's a little suspended here, but it's any contact by the tire, you know, it's underneath the camper. And when I was trying to just use one strap, the length of it, it was bringing it up here on the sidewall of it. So I think that's gonna work out all right. I think I'm gonna have to go over to the other side and fasten it down a little bit. Just a small bit of wind came through and it let the gravity take hold with the tire, and it's pulled the tarp to this side a good foot or so. I'm gonna have to go to the other side, I think, and get that side tied down first before I can really get to the back of the front. I wasn't really paying attention and my battery died while I was doing this last bit. It was getting blown all over, kind of front to back, but I've got the back folded over, tied together here. So next I'm gonna finish buttoning up the sides. All right, this is gonna feel like the most ridiculous little use of a ratchet strap, but I don't really have any bungee cords that I can find right now. So I've got to take the front of this that covers the propane tanks and the jack, and I've got to secure it kind of somehow here to the front, because if I try and ratchet strap underneath the tongue to these other front grommets, it's just going to pull this up, and it's not going to be effective at keeping the front covered like we want. It ended up working right there in the middle, and then under there I got it sitting right on the stabilizer there. So all right, now we're gonna take this grommet and we're gonna run it across underneath the tongue to that one, and then I got basically one more tie down I want to do right in the back. All right, so last little bit here. I've just got 2 grommets here, this side and the other side I've already checked. So given I'm not spanning to a 3rd grommet, I should be able to just use 1 ratchet strap like I was kind of planning before. Should be long enough. If I need to use 2, I'll use 2, but I think we can just use 1 for this. Of course, that one was a little short. Yeah, they're both too short to do what I thought I could. So we'll just use the 2. I mean, I've got the 2. We'll just do both of them on the tire. I think this is going to do what I need it to. It's just putting some weight down. Again, a little late to doing all this. I think for next year what I'm going to plan to do, since I'm already using 1 ratchet strap in just about every grommet, I'm gonna make sure to keep some cinder blocks out of the ice and snow, the first ice and snow, and then just come down with 1 on each. That way, what's happening a little bit, which is making it more important to be tied up in the back, is in between this one and this one. If I tighten it up more, those 2 pieces are just coming together like that. You can see it more here where I'm spanning a greater distance, but I think it's going to do what I need it to for this year. On to the next project for today. So next project for the day, I want to take these crates that were under the tarp that we just put on the camper, and I want to move them back behind these other covered piles of lumber, just so that they're a little bit out of the way for when our plow guy comes through. Moving those over there somewhere. Might stack them, might just make sure to get them out of the way. I got a little bit more information on that that stop sign. I asked my girlfriend's son. I said, "Did you actually take the sign?" You know, you might have seen in the last video. She asked it a little colorfully in her question with her words. But he said, "Yeah, we picked it up. You know, we were out salt and sanding some driveways, and it was on the side of the road. Somebody else had knocked it over. So he didn't steal it. He was pulling it for safety." I wasn't exactly wrong that it's missing some wheels, but the transmission is off the back, so I can still rig it up to pulley and pull off that big pine tree there and get it pulled over to that side. I think pretty well. The steering wheels are still on, so a little bit of a calculated effort and somebody steering it a little bit while I pull. I mean, it's such a light piece for a vehicle to pull that I don't think it's going to be anything to really get it going. It would just be nice. I've got some logs back here behind the house that are cut up from last few years taking some trees down out here, and we'll see if any of them are ready to be taken up or if they're just I think they're just frozen right now. That might be the only one that I'll be able to uncover right now, so we'll find some kind of little tree around and bring it down, buck it up, do some splits. I've got to split a little bit of wood that way, and then I've also got to I've got a friend at work that wants some for his. They've got a little wood stove in their shed, and he wants some that are maybe, you know, maybe half size, half length. So I've got them all cut up into 16-inch lengths right now, so I'll cut them in half down to, you know, about 8, and they've got a hatchet and whatnot. They need to split it further down, but I've got some oak that I split up last year. It's down in the rack down that way that I think I'm gonna get ready for them. Cut that in half. We'll see what we got here behind the splitter, behind the shed here too. So this is my splitter. I bought it off Marketplace, used. It's a Mighty Merc. I haven't been able to find much information on them online. Not really sure what the tonnage is. All that I know off the information plate here is that it's a model 350. There's a serial number. It's got a Honda engine on it. Runs pretty good. I haven't ran it in a few months now. Just things have gotten in the way around the house, but this is so far the only aftermarket kind of thing I've done to it, is I put a little table on it, and just a little bit of pipe fittings and a flange, and this piece of this rack. It's a display rack for a retail store, and it's got these little hooks that hook into a crossbar on the racking, and I just picked out a size of pipe that works well for it. It's not perfect, but it helps keep some of the bending over and things from happening, and bending, twisting, lifting. Those are the kind of things that just cause injuries. So whatever we can do to avoid that, that's what we do, and we'll try and get it fired up here, and hopefully after sitting for a few months, nothing too detrimental's happened to it. If I can, I want to try and get that tarp out of the snow so I can keep it covered. Again, warm weather last few days has kept it pretty, or gotten it pretty uncovered from any snow that was on it. So we'll get to work. This right here is also one of the best aftermarket things I've ever gotten. It's called an Easy Pour Spout. That's the brand of the product. Found it in just an Ace Hardware store. But it takes any of these new gas cans with the safeties that make them hard to use, especially in cold weather when you're trying to get it done quick. You just put this on, you drill a little hole in the back, you put a vent. Goes a lot faster. I've used them when I've had to put some heating oil into the house. It used to take me what felt 10 to 15 minutes per 5-gallon can of heating oil to put it in, and I retrofitted with these and those, and I timed it because I couldn't believe it. It was maybe 2 minutes to empty that 5-gallon can. I lied. It started on 3 poles, but then it died, and I think like it's just cold. Like I haven't ran it in quite a few months, so I'm gonna give it a little help along with some starter fluid, and hopefully that gets it going. I had to do the same thing with the snowblower first thing this year, just to get it going, and then just a little boost as it starts to die. So took the air filter off, so it's going right into the carburetor, and let's see how it goes. It's been doing that for the better part of 20 minutes here, so I think I'm gonna just go get working on that wood I need to cut in half. It was running for a little bit, but we'll let it cool down and see what kind of time I'm looking at here in a little bit. Maybe pull the carburetor off and give it a clean. All right, we'll let that warm up in the background. So what we've got here is the 16-inch split of oak, and it's in a rack that it's holding it. And what my plan is to get it in half is just come in through the end and split right down. He's looking for what would maybe be, you know, 4 feet long, between 2 and 3 feet high of the pieces. So we'll give it a few cuts here, and when I take it to him tomorrow, we'll see how I did with estimating how much he actually needs. So we're you know, we're about 3 feet high, 2 feet in. It's an 18-inch bar, so might have to make a couple of cuts here, but we're gonna get him some wood. Well, I got through a fair amount of that. I guess I'll back my truck down and start loading it in, and we'll see how much wood we've got. Now, these pieces, they do seem pretty big for how long they are, you know. But again, I'm taking wood that I already had cut for no other purpose other than selling it full length and giving it to this guy. And like I said, he told me he and his wife, they actually get a lot of pleasure out of taking pieces and splitting them up using like a wedge and a hammer. Taking, you know, scrap pieces of wide lumber, 2x12, things like that, and just putting a wedge in and knocking it down. So you might have to put some of these down. There are some that are a little bit smaller size, but they all fit in your hand. It's good burning size otherwise. little big. I think that means it's probably a 10 millimeter. I was right. It looks pretty clean in there, but just because it's clean where I can see, it's probably like one of the Venturis that's trying to draw fuel up from the bowl that really needs the cleaning. So I've got the fuel off, so I might just drop the bowl and see what's going on. Who knows? It could be just that look at that. It's another 10 millimeter. That might be what everything on this machine is. But I should expect a little bit of fuel come out of the bowl. I'm just gonna let that drip down. Alright. So that. Dropped it, but I can see it right there. I'm gonna put that one maybe right there. Now, the bowl just comes down, just like that. So, I might start with just cleaning up the gunk that's here in the bottom of the bowl, and might just spray a good amount of cleaner just up inside. Yeah, I can see a little bit of color dripping down with this. So there was at one point in the season last year the cap off my gas tank, and when I went to fill it up, I could see a little pool of water in the bottom. So I had to pull the line and drain that little bit of water out and whatnot. So it's not like I don't think there ever could have not been water in this tank or in this carburetor. So I'm just hoping this little bit of cleaning here, a little bit of splashing around, is going to be enough. Needs to go back on with it just to help keep any fuel inside of it. Internal combustion engines, they work a lot better when stuff's on the inside. Well, you can hear a few turkeys out in the woods. They like to grace us with their presence every once in a while. Oh, he's running. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it. There's a turkey head running right across. Two of them. A little slippery right there. Oh yeah, running right across. I bet we'll be able to zoom in on that or something. Alright, that's enough ADHD. Let's get back to trying to get this thing working. That's everything tightened up. Let's turn fuel back on here. Choke's on full. Get that off so it doesn't vibrate off. We'll give it a couple pulls here and see what happens. Okay, so I've already taken the carb off the splitter. I may not have really needed to do that, but it's just kind of the way that it ended up. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the jet, the main jet from the bottom here. Got this here screwdriver. That's a little big. Grab this one, thinking it was a little smaller. It's Torx head. Give me a second. That one works just fine. I can see through it, but we're gonna give it a few sprays here and there anyways. We'll take the float off. Float off. We're just gonna give everything a decent little spray anyways. A little scrub down in the bowl. And then we'll put it back together and cross our fingers again, I guess. Probably about as good as that's gonna get. A few more. Putting the jet back on. I'm gonna put that back in, make sure that that's in place. Get our little pin, little hinge pin. There we go. There, it's back in. That. Alright, call that done. Get a few more sprays. Dump it out. Okay. And that should be relatively all set. We'll start putting it back together. We'll get it back together. We'll get it out to the splitter. Back on. Try again one more time. Well, I think I figured it out. And then it does that. You couldn't even try for that to happen. We're gonna get back at it, but what it seemed to be is I think I got something going on with my tank. Reason being is it was almost like it wasn't sucking in the gas, and I noticed when I was taking the carb off, when I unhooked the fuel line, nothing came out, but I just filled the tank up. So it's like it was holding a vacuum. So I mean for the fuel to be able to flow, I had to break the vacuum. So I cracked the tank cap, and it was gone. I mean it was idling for a good 5 minutes before I came over here and tried to say I fixed it. Maybe I lied again. I just turned it back on and it started going. So I'm gonna let it run through a little bit because I put some of the carb and injector cleaner gum out stuff in it. So we'll just let it run, even though I just cleaned the carb by own self. And we're gonna go back to finding a tree to cut down to split up a little bit. So I forgot I already had this maple tree down from quite some time ago. It down here at the base, it might be close to 7 inches in diameter. So I'm going to take my marker here and mark it for 16 inch. We'll buck it up and take it over to the splitter and make some smaller pieces out of it. My battery died while I was marking out the log, so instead of changing the battery, finishing marking the log, I just finished marking the log, changed the battery. So we're marked out. I think we're gonna get somewhere in the neighborhood of, I think it's about 20 or 24 rounds. I don't remember, I lost count, but it'll be enough to fill up my little cart and take it over to the splitter a few times. So Well, that was 23 rounds out of that maple tree that was down in the woods back there, stacked up. You know, not quite a third of a face cord, so you know, maybe 10 of these, and we'd have maybe a full cord there. So this is, if it's not quite a third of a third, you know, it's about 1/9 math and stuff. Call it about 10 of those, you'd have close to a full cord of wood. So that's gonna wrap it up for today. We're gonna go inside, warm up,